All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Destiny Johnson. I am a career counselor here at Santa Monica College. And today we are going to do this career workshop. So hopefully everybody's in the right place. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and provide you with the content for today. This particular workshop is helping individuals who are unsure about their major or their career decision making. So I'm going to just provide you with some strategies and hopefully debunk some myths as it relates to major and career decision making. And we'll also probably play a quick little game and have a quick little activity a part of this workshop as well. So I'm gonna go ahead. I wanna share my screen. And we'll have a moment for Q&A at the end of the workshop. So if you have any questions, just write them down. Um, and you are more than welcome to ask them at the end of the presentation. Okay. So like I said, I'm Destiny Johnson. I'm a career counselor for Santa Monica College. This is College to Career, uncovering strategies for choosing major and career pathways. So we are we want all students to be able to feel empowered about their major selection and also their career process. So as a career counselor, it is my job to really help individuals get acclimated to their to them exploring themselves. So the first point I want to address as it relates to you getting to know major or career, the first step in that is you exploring yourself. So, first of all, welcome to this whole presentation because this is an opportunity for you to learn and get to know elements about yourself. So, kudos to you for even just being here. So, as it relates to self exploration, the things that I'm wanting to get to is you identifying your interests, your values, your strengths, your skill set, and then your preferences. All of these things will help you be more in line and find a good fit as it relates to your career or as it relates to your major. So there's a formula that basically says that if you know things about yourself, if you are aware about yourself, and then you also know about what is inside of the workforce, you will be able to make really great informed decisions about what you would like to do as far as major or career. But first, you have to start from the perspective of getting to know yourself. Okay. So the other thing is you have to be able and willing to explore different majors. And we will definitely talk about a resource that we provide as career counselors here at Santa Monica that can definitely be a benefit to you with exploring majors or just knowing what majors are out there. And that's called a limit major. So we're going to go over that in a little bit. And then the last thing is definitely exploring careers. What occupations are out there? What are the tasks associated with specific types of careers? What are educational requirements? Things like that. So making sure that you are getting acclimated to what is going on inside of yourself, also what majors are out there and potential careers that are out there that could be associated with major development. Okay. So during this process, of you defining and discovering what you want to major in or what you want to work in, it's really about exploring your options, making decisions that are going to be centered around what you want and what you need, taking forth action, taking opportunity to not stay in your comfort zone, move forward and doing things that maybe you don't always want to, as far as like taking risk. Um, so those are the things that I'm talking about as far as exploration. So as a career counselor, I help individuals with the career development process, right? So what is the career development process? So all those things I just named are part of the career development process. The first step is you identifying elements about yourself, discovering who you are, then exploring your options as far as major volunteering opportunities, work, right? Really engaging in different opportunities that are related to major or career. and then making sound decisions that are going to benefit you, and then getting exposure by taking action into the actual workforce. So it's very important for you to have um, to be engaged in your career development process, because the more you work the steps, the more you understand yourself, the better the outcome will be as you are navigating trying to find a major or looking into different work industries. Okay. Keep in mind that this is a lifelong process. It is a cyclical process, as in it doesn't necessarily just stop once you arrive to maybe landing that job that you want. It really is about reflection and seeing where you are. Like, for example, if you work the steps, let's say you're in the discovery phase, you know what you potentially like, you know that you have values in certain areas. So you align the work experiences with maybe your values, and also maybe with your interests, and also with your aptitude. You make good choices, maybe do some informational interviewing, and then you land a job, right? You've arrived. Then it's time for you to reflect. Now that you're in that job, what are the things that you can do in order to stand out? What are some things that you can do to learn, and then move on to the next stage, right? And it's back then to knowing yourself. What do you want? What do you desire? What are your pros and cons? What are your interests? What are your values? And then starts all over again. Okay, so it's a lifelong process, basically. But it's kind of cool because we get to define, you know, our career journey because of that. So, anybody in here, is anybody nervous about the decision making process as it relates to major or career? On a show of hands, there's a reaction button that you can click. So you can just do the little raise the hand. Okay, yeah. So I see that some people are like, yeah, that's me, and that's totally normal. It is totally normal part of the process for you to feel a little bit anxious or a little bit nervous about the decision, because it is an important decision. However, you're not alone in that decision. A lot of students, everyone almost has to come to terms with what they want to do, and then going forth and making that happen. Okay. So I just want to normalize it, that it's okay for you to feel a little uneasy or unsure. The best thing about your career decision making process is there's ways for you to gain confidence by getting exposure into the industry, by taking a class, by joining a club, right? Things like that. It's taking steps in order for you to feel more confident in your decision, um, that will actually benefit you during this process. So um, I just want to reassure you that it is going to be okay. And I want to bring up um, a, a topic that a lot of students, when they meet with career counselors, they'll say, I just want to major in something, and then I want to be able to work in that major, right? I want to, take this major, and I want it to send me right to the job. So I want all of you to kind of give me some percentages of how many college graduates do you think are actually in a career like unrelated to their major, right? So what do you think? What percentage would you say of college graduates are in a career unrelated to their major? You can go ahead and put it in the chat below. So I see 80, I see 60, 70. Okay, I see 70 again. Awesome. So let me show you 73%. 73% of college graduates are in careers unrelated to their major, right? And out of this 73%, that means only really 27% are in careers that are related to their major, which is not a big number. But that does not mean that the 70% are not satisfied or not in fulfillment in the things that they're doing. It just means that they've been able to find work, some fulfilling work that doesn't translate or correlate just to a major. Okay. So I just wanted to dispel that myth that like you have to major in something in order to actually find a job in it and work in that. And if you don't do that, you won't be able to find work. Okay. So uh, so it's really important that during this process you really enjoy the journey of discovering who you are and taking the time out to really sit with yourself to figure out what you like and what you dislike. Because with major selection process, you really want to be happy. I shouldn't even say happy, but you really want to be fulfilled in what you choose because it is something that is going to be yours. Okay. So I do want to play a quick little game. So I'm going to share my screen um, so we can play Cahoots. And I want you to basically guess the major. So let me, if everyone could go over to, I'll put the link actually inside of the chat. And if you have a cellular device, we can play. Okay, so let me pull it up. So I'm gonna share my screen so that way you can.
Destiny, did you send the link in the chat?
I'm actually just gonna share my screen so
okay.
individuals can can everybody see the Cahoots game? Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna log on to Cahoots.it, and then you're gonna put in this game pin, and we're gonna play a quick game. And this is called Guess the Major. So I'm just waiting for all the players to get in, and you can do this with a phone or a tablet, however you want. And when we are all in, I'll start the game. Is that all of us? Oh, I'm missing. Am I missing someone? Give me a thumbs up if you were able to get in. Then I'm gonna go ahead and start. Thumbs up. In the reaction, you can put a thumbs up as well. All right, awesome. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so what do you think they majored in? Okay. Yeah. So we got, okay, nobody got the right one. Okay. Let's try it again. What do you think they majored in? Interesting. You would assume, right, that it would be something related to film or communications. Okay, awesome. All right, we got two more. What do you think you majored in? Oh, okay. So we got some takers on that one. Okay, sociology. Yes. What do you think? This is the last one you think he majored in. Okay, yeah, nursing. Okay. So the purpose of this game wasn't to make anybody be like, oh, I couldn't get it, but really it's to dispel some myths that we tend to have, right? Let me stop share. So we as students and sometimes just as society, we assume that you have to major in one specific thing in order to have a fulfilling career. And that's not necessarily the case. It's really about majoring in something that you feel passionate in, or that you're inspired in, or that you enjoy doing the work for. And opportunities obviously will present themselves outside of just academics. Now, when we're talking about majors that have to, that, that specifically correlate with a career, as you saw, the last particular individual was a nurse and he did major in nursing. That is more of an industry that you need a specific degree to actually go into. So, for example, if you want to be a nurse, then you would go into a nursing program, right? Very similar to like becoming an engineer, right? Most engineers have to go through an engineering program in order to become an engineer. However, there are a lot of majors out there that are interdisciplinary. Basically, they're a mesh of like a variety of majors, in which that you can major in it and you can do a lot of things with it. It's not very specific or a narrow path. You have opportunities to create and discover options for work. And that's a really cool thing about you deciding to be a part of a specific major is you don't necessarily have to be tied down to a specific job if you don't want to, because the sky's the limit, especially as you saw pertaining to some of the occupations that were a part of these LinkedIn profiles. So I'm going to go ahead and reshare the PowerPoint. Was anybody surprised at what some of those majors were?
Yeah, I was very surprised because, for example, I think there was one person that majored in some sort of um, like a technical film study or something, but he didn't end up getting a job that correlates with his major.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I also have an example of I know of someone who went to school UC San Diego, then went to Stanford to get a law degree, passed the bar in New York, and practiced law for about 10 years, found a photography class as an elective just to have something to do, fell in love with photography, quit his job, and is now doing film in LA. So it's not cookie cutter in the sense that you have to do one thing for the rest of your life. We're multifaceted individuals and we grow and evolve, and sometimes things change, and sometimes we're just not exposed to certain things until later. But the goal is to stay focused on right now, where you are at this moment, what you enjoy doing right now, and what you could potentially see yourself being successful in, right? Those individuals still have a degree. They still have that credential on their resume. It does not discount anything because they decided to work in an industry that is different, and they have really rewarding potential, career opportunities, even though their background is in something else. So I want all of you to know that you won't necessarily be limited um, by what your major is, and to think outside the box as it relates to your major. Okay. So everybody's journey is different. Everybody's journey looks different. Even the myth about having to major in something scientific in order to go into medical school. A lot of individuals are like, oh, I need to major in like biology, or I'm not even sure if anybody in here can come up with some majors that you think would translate to a medical program. but it's not as cookie cutter as we always expect or think. Okay. And it's okay if your journey looks different from the person that's sitting next to you. All right. Because it's yours. Okay. So let's move on. I want to then kind of do a little bit more myth busting when it comes to like to major or even just decision making. So which one of these are going to be fact? Okay, so this is two statements. So career decision like major choice are irreversible and life and death importance, right? Of life and death importance. The other statement is it's okay for people to change their decision and the world will not end. Which one is a fact? Is it option A or option B? So option A is career decision, life major choices are irreversible and are of life and death importance. And then option B is it okay for people to change their decision and the world will not end? You can go ahead and write it in the chat. Which one do you think is the fact? Okay, awesome. B, everybody got it right. Yeah. So, as I said a little bit earlier, it is totally okay for you to change your mind, right? I think the goal is as a career counselor is to make sure that when you select a major, you are happy with it, you're fulfilled with it, and you know all of the requirements necessary toward getting you that great opportunity as far as like work and getting you exposure to you being eligible to apply to certain positions, right? But it is okay if you are someone with multi interest or multi passionate. A lot of students are um, they like multiple things. Like because, like I said, we're normal people that evolve and have a lot of interests, and that is totally fine. It's okay for you to be multi interested in things, and it's not life or death. It's okay for you to change. It's okay for you to evolve, um, and the world will not end. You will be okay, and you'll be able to take on your major and your career choice because you're able and you're capable. Okay. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So there is definitely more than one career out there for you. You don't have to, I mean, some individuals like it being narrow, and that's totally fine. That if you're someone who's like, you know what, I don't want a whole bunch of options. I kind of like the idea of me doing a major and working, and I do that job, you know, for the rest of my life. That's great. And if that's you, awesome. And if it's not you, it's okay as well. Most people tend to change industries anywhere between 3 to 5 times in their lifetime. Some people maybe will stay in the same realm, but they'll change jobs. For example, maybe you're someone who really likes psychology and you are like, oh, I want to be a therapist, but then you get opportunity to talk and you then become a speaker and then you get opportunity to teach. So then you become a teacher, right? So there's a lot of things you can do even inside of one career trajectory. And hopefully that makes you feel empowered to know that you have a lot of options. And if you're someone who's like, no, I like the narrow path, and you know exactly what you want to do, that's great. That's great as well. But even in that, you might want to pick up a hobby, or you might have other things that you just like to do, and that's fine as well. Okay. So what can definitely help you as you are learning about your major, learning about yourself, and learning about careers? Remember, because those are the three things that we really want to explore in order to get to the next step. Really hone in on your influences. Honing in on your influence are going to be very important a part and process toward you getting to know yourself, getting to know what you potentially might want to major in, and also exploring the world of work. So, some factors that help decision making and make it a little bit easier for you to know what the right path is for you is understanding your personal factors, your cultural factors, your social factors, the information that is available to you, your options as it relates to that information, and executing with that information, and then psychological factors. So personal factors have to do with getting to know yourself. Remember, interest values, skills, and preferences, what I prefer to do versus what I prefer not to do based off my personality, right? Then cultural factors, how am I represented within my family, right? How am I represented within my society? Who am I taking my influence from? Who do I deem as important? Because all those things can be a help. That support system can help you along the way. Information, right? What information have I been able to gather? Who have I spoken to? I used the word informational interview earlier in this presentation. I just want to take a moment to actually clarify what that is, just in case anyone doesn't know what an informational interview is. It's basically finding someone in the industry of where the industry of your work interests, and gleaming and asking questions about the process of working, the process of education, and learning about the occupation from the point of view, from a perspective of someone that's actually in the job, right? That information can be vital for anybody that wants to gain exposure into a workforce. So informational interviewing is also part of just gaining that information. What research have you done? What things do you have at your disposal that will make the decision-making process easier? We tend to not like making decisions where we don't have all of the facts. So you can feel more confident in the decision that you decide on if you take the steps in the moment to actually do some research, right? And then you make sure that once you do that research, you collate it or you examine it in a way that's going to be efficient for you, right? So if you are someone who likes, tracking things on an Excel document, all the research that you find, put it on there. If you're someone who just likes to make checklists, like, okay, I found this, or pros and cons list, whatever you prefer, your learning style, I would recommend doing it that way. And then obviously psychological factors have to do with, making sure that you're willing, you're ready, you're able, making sure that you have the mental capacity for whatever you're wanting to pursue, and that you feel supported and you feel engaged and motivated to continue doing what you need to do. All of those things are important as it relates to the influences toward you discovering elements about yourself, about major, and about career. Okay. I actually had a great conversation with a student today about imposter syndrome. And this is a thing that's been kind of, I mean, it's not really about this topic, but um, it's a thread that's been kind of going on. And basically, imposter syndrome is when you feel unworthy of engaging in a particular thing. It can be school, it can be work, um, and making sure that you are reinforcing positivity and affirmations when things come back at you and tell you're not worthy or you can't do something. That's a part of psychological factors, making sure you are you are part of your biggest influence, and telling yourself positive things is going to definitely help you in that decision making. Like, I can make a decision for my major, I can make a decision as it relates to my career, I will, you know put forth my best effort, and those things can also help. Okay. And don't compare yourself to others, especially when it comes to classmates or other people in the, because I have a lot of students that say, oh, I should be a long way from here. A lot of people already know their major, a lot of people already have done this. Remember, it's not about everybody else's journey, it's about your journey. And stay on track of just focusing on you, and that'll help a lot when it comes to your major selection process. Okay, get off my soapbox. So now I want to talk about um, discovering and exploring majors explicitly, like just majors. Um, there is a link that we're going to put inside of the chat in order for you to find this actual worksheet. This is called a lemon major. Um, this basically comes from the standpoint that students tend to not always know what they want to major in. However, they tend to be very clear about what they don't want to major in. So it comes from that point where you look at these different majors and you cross off anything that is just like, nope, and you just cross it off. And whatever is left, then you reflect on it and you pick three majors that you would want to do research on and learn more about, right? Because getting that information is very, very, very important. Um, so I want all of you, if you're still in the process of deciding on a major, you're not sure what's out there. This is just a small list of majors. There's obviously more majors out there in the world, but this is going to be a good start to get you closer to the goal of choosing a major. Okay. And the link is in the chat for anyone who wants access to this particular worksheet. Okay. Okay. So other strategies on how you can get closer to selecting a major or getting more acclimated into a career is basically joining some type of support system or a club or engage in being around like-minded individuals. So as we explore career and we're exploring majors, student clubs on campus, they can be programs. They can be maybe what are they called? Um, I mean, I guess it's just a club. I guess I wanted to call it something fancy. I like an affinity group, which is kind of like another version of a club or a membership. Is basically a club or a group that you can be with, and it's like for life. You can always have it on your resume, that type of thing. But engaging with other people that are like-minded, who can support you, who can provide resources and exchange resources with you, can definitely help you achieve your goal of selecting a major. Um, Engaging in exposure into the workforce or volunteering. So there's a lot of different resources that I can provide as far as links. So Volunteer Match is a really great website. I can also add that into the chat right now for everyone. It's just literally volunteermatch.org. It allows for you to find volunteer opportunities based off your area of interest. So you can literally type in, if you are someone who likes social justice, you type in social justice and it provides you with whichever location you're in where there's opportunities for volunteering. So I'm going to go ahead and add that into the chat right now. So that's for everybody. Internships. So let me explain what internships are. So internships, just in case someone isn't aware, it's basically you're gaining real life work experience within a company, and you're learning job skills to prepare you for your entry level position. So some internships are paid, some internships are not paid, but the objective is really to teach you professionalism and provide tangible career skills as you are currently a student. Okay. So that is obviously going to look great on your resume. It also is great because if you are someone who's taking a class but you're really not sure if you really want to go forth with that major, an internship will give you real life exposure to the career, because sometimes we get an idea of what the major is and the career itself, like the work duties, look a little bit different. So an internship will actually give you exposure of what that will look like. And it will give you motivation that, hey, I'm not just doing school, I'm doing school for a purpose of finding a fulfilling work opportunity. And now the things that I'm learning, I can actually implement them into what I'm actually doing as far as work. So internships are really great. Obviously, jobs, employment, it provides revenue. So it's definitely going to help you with networking opportunities, resource building, things like that. So all of these things will kind of help you achieve your goal and help you with the decision-making process and make you feel a little bit more confident about what you're going to get yourself into. For some of you, you might be in different phases. Like some of you might be like, I'm not sure. As in, I'm not sure because I don't know what's next. Others might be in a stage where it's like, I know information, but now I need help with the next step of like execution. Like, who do I talk to? How do I get out there? So I would highly, highly recommend Counseling 12 as far as with any stage that you're in, because this particular class is going to allow for you to explore yourself in a very comprehensive way. Because sometimes I'll tell students like, oh, really get to know yourselves. And it's easier said than done if you have to do it on your own. And sometimes we just need accountability. So Counseling 12 allows for that accountability. And it's a career planning class where it's all about you. It's all about you discovering elements about yourself and doing projects that are related to you understanding majors and understanding your career path. In that class, all the things I talked about as relates to career development theory, you do. You have assessments that talk about your interests, your skills, your values, and your personality. And it's all a part of this 1 unit class. Um, it is CSU and UC transferable. So I would highly recommend it depending on where, like, it doesn't really matter what stage you are in. If you're someone who's like, oh, I already know what I want to major in, I'm just trying to figure out, how I can land that internship, right? It's still good because it provides confirmation and it gives you vocabulary to articulate things about yourself when it is time for you to do interviewing, right? Most times when I ask students, what are you good at? Well, I'm not really sure. What do you like? Oh, I mean, I kind of like this, or what are your values? I'm not really sure. So it's gonna give you a great opportunity for you to process those things and be able to articulate them in the time that you need to use that. Okay. So those are just some of the tips and strategies on how you can really unpack looking into majors, looking into careers, and understanding that you are not alone in this process. Um, um, One thing I also wanted to point out is you can always talk with a career counselor. We are going to provide in the chat information about how you can actually make an appointment. So like I said, I am a career counselor. My job literally is to help students navigate their major, their selves, and their career. Right. That's basically what I do. And as a career counselor, I love helping students pull out their potential. I love when they have that aha moment and they discover something about themselves that they maybe hadn't known before, or maybe they did know and they just didn't realize it, right? So we can help you navigate and explore the things that are going on in your head, and just brain dump, kind of just have a moment of talking just about you and about what you want to do, and coming up with some planning and some goal setting that will help you get to closer to achieving your goal, right? So that information is in the chat already. You can call and make a career counseling appointment. Our phone number is 310-434-4337. Right now we have appointments via telephone or Zoom, and we are accessible. And we also have some new hours for if you want to do walk-ins that are specific to like resumes and cover letters, things like that. We have a really great, brilliant team of career counselors, and also now we have some career interns. So you're in good hands. Like I said earlier, kudos for you being here at this presentation. And if you just keep on in that vein, there's no way that you won't be able to figure out what you want to do as far as major and career, especially because you're already having that go-getter spirit being here today. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And now I want to open it up for questions. So if anybody has a question about major process or career process or decision making, please go ahead and ask. You can write them into the chat, and I'll go in order of who has a question. And we have about like 10 minutes left. So
Also, I'm sorry if you guys don't have any questions, or if you guys do, like Destiny said, put them in the chat. But if you guys can please also take this quick little poll. We just want to know, like, get some feedback on how you guys heard about our workshop. Sorry, Destiny, if I cut you off.
No problem. You're totally fine.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So for my part, I think where the area of confusion that I have is more so the execution part. Like I've done a little bit of research, not in-depth research, but can you walk me through the execution part as far as choosing a major, what other steps can we do other than volunteering or being in a club?
Okay. So you said that you've already done research, right?
Hmm.
And based on your research, how many options of majors were you left with?
I have three that I am in between. I can't decide which one I will like.
Okay. Are there any parallels between any of these majors? Like, are there anything that is maybe similar?
Mm, sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Um,
Because
mhm,
so I'm in between, like I'm interested in STEM and I have two majors that I am interested in STEM, and then I have two majors, well, a major that it's not STEM. So I don't know,
okay.
where do I lie? Do I
Okay.
match better with STEM or non-STEM? That's where I'm at.
Good. So when you've done your research, things that I would recommend is making, I mean, simple pros and cons list. What about the major makes you excited about majoring in it? What are some things that you're like, I'm not as interested in, right?
Mhm.
Also looking into what opportunities will present themselves if I major in this particular thing. For example, look into what are some career opportunities. There's so many career titles out there, so don't overwhelm yourself, but definitely looking into what are some potential opportunities that can present themselves. Um, Also, taking stock of, you know, if because I kind of like that. I always like to ask students when they're kind of stuck in between two things, what is causing you to um, to be hesitant about one thing or the next, right? Because there's always a reason why we feel like we can't choose, like we feel stuck almost. So trying to really figure out what's making you hesitant about going in any of the directions, right? Because I'm sure out of all three would probably be great opportunities. Yeah, but which one is going to pull up to the surface as something that you're most connected with is what you want to identify. Another thing I would probably recommend um, as it relates to like deciphering out of the three um, is coming up with a support system that you can have a conversation with as in regards to the major. So, for example, if it's another student who's majoring in that, if it's a professor whose background is in that, or if you know of an occupation of someone and they have that background, I would just kind of glean some information. Things like that can definitely help if you don't want to necessarily volunteer or join a club. But it's really about getting as much information and starting from there, really. I mean, I would say those would be some good things to do. I'm sure in a second I'm going to have a whole bunch of other ideas to pop up. But I definitely would probably say start with those.
Okay, thank you. That was very helpful.
Hmm. Oh, and also, I always tell students think about your why, right? For example, when I sometimes have class, a student will tell me what they major in, and I'll say why. And why can be very confrontational. So I don't do it with all students, but why can be because sometimes it feels personal. Like, what do you? It's almost like an attack. Like, why are you asking me that? But I'm asking you really because if you can identify your why for engaging in a major and get or engaging in work, um, it's just very empowering to know your why, right? So when you think of the three majors, why would you want to major in this one thing versus the other? Why would you what are like I said, what are the opportunities that will present itself? And then if other people come around and they tell you different, you would know, no, I'm not going to listen to you because my why is stronger than that, right? My why is telling me that I can do this. So really identify, why are you interested in STEM? What are the benefits of STEM versus the other thing? Or what are the benefits of that versus the other, right? Kind of just writing that down and being reflective about it. Um, and then also think about when you're actually in the classes, if you have not taken the class, maybe talking with an academic counselor about how you potentially could get some exposure to the class as long as it's in relation to your ed plan. Obviously want to make sure you're taking the right classes, but maybe getting exposure by taking a class as well to see if you really would like that particular thing. Because sometimes we have an idea, but we need to get it into practice. Anybody else?
Yeah, I was actually wondering what did you find that helped you in discovering what you wanted to major in, and what did you major in?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So initially I wanted to be a music major. So I started off as a music major. I did that for a year. Um, I was not happy. I just wasn't happy. I love music and I determined that I could do music on the side and I didn't have to do it as work. And that's another thing. Identifying what is something you want to be career oriented in versus what you want to do as a hobby. That's important because especially for multi-passionates or multi-interests or people who just have a whole bunch of things, it's okay for you to work somewhere and still have other streams of income and other things, or to enjoy doing other things that don't produce income, but it's rewarding to yourself. So I had to come to terms with the fact that, hey, I don't want to do this as a career. I like to do it. And if I did it as a career, it would take the fun out of it. So what did I do? I took a whole bunch of classes that I just thought were kind of interesting. Um, I joined some student clubs. I talked to other students about what they liked about what major they were in. And then I had to sit with myself and ask myself, what do I actually like to do? I like helping people. What are some occupations that help people? And what are the educational requirements for those occupations? And I kind of landed on social welfare. And initially, I wanted to be a social worker. And then I got exposure to the industry by doing an internship. Realized that that wasn't going to work for me, but I still wanted to help people. So, what are some other things I could do? Talk to more people, took on more opportunities for volunteering, and realized I had been working in different areas of college counseling and realized I really liked that atmosphere. And once I realized you can get a degree, get a master's, and be able to do this as a career, I was all for it. Still didn't know exactly what I wanted to do though. In my master's program, I did some more soul searching. So that's what I'm saying. Career development is not one time only. It's very cyclical. Every stage of my life, I've been able to adapt, take stock of what I like, gain exposure, and then move forward and make a decision based off what information has presented itself to me. And a lot of students are having a hard time with decision because they're scared of failure. They're scared of what could be, right? That might be a part of it, but failing is not necessarily an issue, really, because failing teaches you things. Failing teaches you like, I'm not good at that, or I thought I could do that, but it's not really my thing. So it's not even really failure. It's really reframing it to just learning how to be a better person and learning to get closer to the goal, right? So if we reframe that from failing to being taught a lesson, it actually helps you expand your knowledge about what you want to do. I hope that helped. That was a really long way to say it, but I hope that helped.
Yeah, thank you.
So if there's no other questions, I have a challenge for you all. um, is I know a lot of this sounded like, oh, I think I could do that, or that sounds super easy, but in reality, that might not be as easy as I talked about. Um, I want to just challenge you to not be so hard on yourselves as it relates to choosing a major. This is a very rewarding time in your lives, all of you, to feel empowered enough and have the privilege to actually do school. I really want you to enjoy this process of discovering yourself, loving on yourself, knowing what you want to do is a very cool thing to do. There's so much autonomy in making a decision about your major. So don't be so hard on yourselves. Give yourselves opportunity and space to explore and be okay if you don't necessarily know the right answer, because sometimes there is no right answer. Sometimes it's just a answer. Okay, so be patient with yourselves, take on opportunities, be open to whatever comes, try not to say no all the time, and good things are going to happen. I promise. And in the meantime, come see a career counselor and we can definitely help you. Okay. Are there any other questions?
Well, I think this is a question.
Okay.
It's interesting to me how there's certain universities that have available certain majors. So
Mhm.
a lot of like strong, well-known universities, but like one big difference between them is like they have different majors available. So
Mhm.
once, let's say I find a major that I'm interested in, then would you suggest kind of looking into schools that have that major as an option? Or
Yeah. Yeah. So whatever your major of interest is, you definitely want to find schools that complement that major, that are known maybe for that major also. And you also have to think when you're choosing a school, you're choosing the networks that you're going to be provided as an extension of that school. So you want to keep that in mind as well. Um, Sometimes the differences in majors are research-based schools versus like for example, UCs versus Cal States. UCs are really going to be more research based versus Cal States are going to be more practical. They're more or less getting you into the work industry versus it being theoretical. It's more practical. Um, and often, sometimes majors they're similar, and you just have to go and look at their job. I'm sorry, I was going to say job description. Their catalogs to look at the descriptions of the actual major because sometimes those classes are very very similar. It's just the name is different. So that's important to pay attention to as well. But yeah, definitely you want to look at schools that have the major that you're already intending on majoring in and what is their graduation rate, things like that, and having like a conversation with the recruitment office or the advisement office to get more information about the college. Because just as much as you're investing in a school, they're kind of investing in you too. So you want to just make sure it's a good fit.
okay.
Awesome. All right, so our time is up, but I had so much fun. I hope you learned something. I hope that this shed a little bit of light about how you can start unpacking your major or unpacking elements about decision making as it relates to your career. My name is Destiny Johnson. Once again, if you ever want to make a career counseling appointment with me directly, you can just ask for me and I'll be available. All of our career counselors are amazing. Our career counseling interns are amazing. So you're in good hands, like I've already said before. So you all have a great rest of your day. And I think we're good. Anything else?
Thank you so much, Destiny.
Yeah.
Will you be holding more of these kinds of meetings or similar ones?
Yes, sorry, I probably should have said that. We have so many career workshops. If you go over to www.smc under career services center, you'll find a list of our available workshops that are going to be taking place from now up until May.
I've also included a link to our office's Instagram, and you can follow us there. And we have like updates on workshops, not only for our department, but also for other ones if you're interested.
Okay. Will these links be available after the Zoom meeting, or should I probably click on them now so they open?
Yeah,
I yeah.
yeah, you can copy and paste them into a Word doc or into your web browser.
Okay. I'm just gonna do that really quickly.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no problem. No problem at all.